The first senior, a pitcher from Kirkland, Washington, number 18, Sara Aasness. Accompanied by her parents, Lance and Cheryl Aasness. Sara is a two-time member of the Pacific program. She has been a key member of the Boxers pitching staff since transferring to Pacific from Northwestern State University. Assuming the role as the Boxers' number one pitcher this season, Sara enters the week with a 9-4 record and a 3.72 ERA. She was named the Northwest Conference Softball Pitching Student Athlete of the Week on Monday after winning 3 games for the Boxers and compiling a .46 ERA in 4 games. .46. This season, Sara has thrown 3 complete game 4 hitters, most recently to beat Lewis and Clark on March 31st. Sara is majoring in business. Ladies and gentlemen, Sara Aasness. Next, an outfielder from Gresham, Oregon, number 24, Becca Moen. Accompanied by her parents, Greg and Vicki Moen, and her sister, Emily. A 4-year starter for the Boxers, Becca was named first team All-Northwest Conference and second team All-West Region last year after leading the team with a .397 batting average. This season, Becca has continued to be a force in the leadoff position, entering today's doubleheader with a .36 batting average, including 38 hits, 8 doubles, and 16 stolen bases. Her best offensive effort this season was a 5-for-5 performance at Southwestern on February 9th, when she finished finished shy of the cycle by not having a home run. For her career, Becca is batting .370 with 140 hits, 26 doubles, and 45 stolen bases. Becca is a sociology major and is minoring in communication sciences and disorders. Ladies and gentlemen, Becca Moen. And last but not least, our outfielder and pitcher from Phoenix, Arizona, number 2, Maddie Collura. Accompanied by her mother, Pamela Collura. Maddie is a 4-year member of the Pacific softball program. She has established herself as one of the ultimate team players for the Boxers. After playing in 31 games as a freshman, Maddie missed the 2012 season after returning to home to Arizona, but returned to play in 25 games in a reserve role as a junior. She enters today with a 2-1 record in the circle and has an impressive 3.88 earned run average. Maddie is a public health major and Spanish minor. Ladies and gentlemen, Maddie Collura. And now, head coach Tim Hill would like to say a few words about his seniors.
Okay, first person I want to talk about is Sara, and Sara, you need to come over here. I've got some notes because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Sara, I'm going to talk about each of these kids. They're all came here under different circumstances, and they're all different individuals. I think they're all very unique. Sara came here as a transfer, and upon recruiting Sara, our first conversation was right here in this dugout. And I'll tell you, about 15 minutes into the conversation, in my mind, I said, we got to have this kid. Absolutely have to have her. And it was her demeanor, her personality. I just thought that she would be a great fit here. I think she brings a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. And at the time, I thought she brought a lot of maturity. What she does now is she turns it on and turns it off. But when she turns it on, I tell you what, she is a very mature individual. When she turns it off, it's just a lot of fun. So, also, when she came in here, I kind of use this term, she kind of took the university by storm. I think this is where she belonged all along. I think it was her second day on campus, maybe. The admissions office offered her a job, just like that quickly. I also had the basketball coach, the women's basketball coach who was here, but she approached me in my office. She came in and she said, hey, "You've been holding out on me?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "The tallest girl in the university, and she's playing softball." So, as far as softball goes, Sara has just made a major contribution here. Riley was mentioning her stats. The first half of the year compared to the second half of the year is like night and day. I don't know what the difference was, but I think that Sara has just absolutely stepped up. She's going to finish her career here on a very, very positive note. Has really helped turn our season around. One last thing. Sara said something to me the other day in the dugout, and when we came out, I don't know what, we were joking around about something, and she said something to the effect, "You have to be noticed to always be remembered." And Sara gets noticed in a lot of ways. But I would say this, Sara, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. You've been here too. I wish you'd been here 4. And I can tell you that we're going to miss you. We're all going to miss you, but we are never going to forget you. I can guarantee you. Okay, Beck. Okay. I know. Beck's a little scared. Becca and I have had a really interesting relationship here. It is now, however, I think a great relationship. But I'm going to go back to recruiting Becca. I recruited Becca when she was a senior in high school. I loved how she played. A couple of incidents in the summer. I was watching her play. I was standing with 2 or 3 other coaches. We were watching her at Hillsborough Stadium. She was playing third base. And she made 2 diving plays. And I'll tell all the coaches, we don't talk when we're at games as to who we're recruiting. But one of the coaches said, "Who's that kid?" And someone said, "Well, I'm not sure who she is." And then someone else said, "Where's she going?" And so then I piped up and said, "She's going to Pacific." So also, I went and watched her play one time. She'd already committed to Pacific. And I was behind the backstop, which I usually am. And after games, she'd always come and talk to me. When this game ended, she made a beeline across the field and headed out of the park, even though she knew I was there. So I followed her down the cement walkway, and she was crying. And so I followed her down there and said, "Hey, Becca, are you ignoring me?" And she said, "Well, I didn't want you to see me crying." And I said, "So why are you crying?" And she said, "Well, you saw the game and how we played. It was awful, and it really bothers me, and it just upsets me." And I said, "Well, you know what?" I said, "I'm glad I saw you crying, because that's the kind of player I want at Pacific. It's exactly the kind of player. And it has been exactly the kind of player she has been." Unfortunately, at some point, we had a bit of a disconnect. And I'll tell you, it went on for a couple of years. Not that we were really not getting along, but there was a disconnect. And I had her come in my office about 1.5 years ago, and she sat down, and I said, "Becca, I got some personality traits here I'm going to read. Tell me who this is." Confident, stubborn, spirited, combative, feisty, confrontational, has little man syndrome. I said, "Who is that, Beck?" And she said, "That's me." She pointed at herself, that's me. And I said, "Okay, now also, you know anybody else that has those same attributes?" And she said, "Yeah, you do." And so we kind of figured out that why don't we respect each other? We're doing the same thing, you know. So I think ever since then it's been a very positive relationship. And I have a lot of respect for Becca. One of the things, the last thing I'll mention about Becca is when she bats, I like to have control over everything that goes on out here. Everything. I want to tell the batter when they hit, when they bunt, when they slap. I learned about 2 years ago that I completely trust Becca when she leads off. I just point to her every time she comes up. I've never done that with a player. But what Becca is as a leadoff, she's the best leadoff hitter in this conference. And the reason is she understands what a leadoff hitter is supposed to do. Not a lot of people do. Becca does everything up there that a leadoff hitter does, like working the count, showing different things. Becca can bunt, she can slap, and she can hit the ball out of the park. And she knows when to do each. And so I have complete trust in Becca, which she's really turned me into a spectator. When she bats, I have no control anymore. I just have to point at her and let her go. But she does things right, believe me.
Here we go, Beck.
I think I've run out of things on Becca, but Beck, you've had a great career, and I'm thrilled that you and I have gotten on the same page, because we should have been all along. Okay,
Becca,
one last person.
That's so funny.
It's Maddie, and I kind of feel like the last 4 weeks of our season has been really emotional for a variety of reasons, and bringing Maddie up here, I think it's going to be hard to get through talking about her. Okay, I got to make sure I do this. Basically, I will tell this about Maddie. She is my softball hero. And when you look up that word, it means somebody you look up to, who inspires you, and somebody you admire. And it fits Maddie to a T. And I'll get back to that in a minute. I'll tell you why. But I want to go back to recruiting. When Maddie showed up here, she came up from Arizona, and the first thing I noticed about Maddie when she came in my office, she was dressed very well, dressed better than any recruit I've ever had, and she was classy when she came in. And then when she went around this campus and saw it for the first time, about 2 hours in, she committed, which we were thrilled about. And it was easy to recruit her, not like in most cases. And Maddie was here her freshman year, and you know, as Riley mentioned, she went back home to Arizona her sophomore year, and then she returned. And we were great to have her back. She played in the outfield a bit her freshman year, her junior year, and was fighting for an outfield position this year. In the fall, we lost 3 pitchers off our team. 2 to injuries, 1 just to a personal situation. And so we were kind of devastated in the fall. And then the kids all went home for Christmas break. And when they came back, the first day I had the 3 seniors in my office just to talk about the season a little bit. And one of the things we brought up was this, you know, really our lack of pitching at that point. And in the course of the conversation, Maddie didn't say anything. And then she spoke up and she said, well, I think maybe I can help. And I thought, okay, why, you know? But Maddie said, which I think is just amazing, and I hope everybody understands what I'm explaining here and why it means so much. But Maddie didn't tell us, but when she went home at Christmas break, she hired a pitching coach. 3 weeks. And she told me that. And again, I was kind of flabbergasted, like, what can you do in 3 weeks? So I said to her, I said, Maddie, why did you do that? And she said, because that's what the team needs.
Yeah.
I thought, as a coach, you know, you want your players to put the team first, always. And even when Maddie, like her junior year, wasn't playing a lot, she was absolutely supportive, great attitude. Maybe she wasn't happy with her situation, never said a word. So then her senior year, she finds a way to contribute. And I asked her, well, what do you want of that kind of a role? And she said, well, I think that what I can do is if we get way behind, I can go in and just eat up some innings and save the other pitchers for the next game. And in our first trip to Texas, the last day we played a game and we got way behind and Maddie went in and basically she was going in to sacrifice herself. And the other team ended up scoring 15 runs. But she saved the pitcher for the next game. And again, I think that is so selfless. And she also, in a sense, sacrificed her time in the outfield because the team needed something. But I think what's really cool is that's not the end of the story. About 3 weeks ago, we're playing Linfield, and we're falling behind. Maddie's going to come in and eat up some innings. She comes in the third inning, gets the last batter out in the third inning. She shuts him out in the fourth inning. She shuts him out in the fifth inning, in the sixth inning, and in the seventh inning. And all of a sudden, it was like, wait a minute. I thought she was just eating up innings. So last weekend, we had 3 games we had to play. So the second game, put Maddie in the pitch. She goes, pitches into the seventh inning. We win the game 3-1. A day before yesterday, we're in Puget Sound. Maddie starts the second game. She goes the distance, all 7 innings. We win 6-1. Maddie comes out here today. Look at the first 4 innings. How does somebody who goes home at Christmas and in 3 weeks transform herself into a pitcher? She doesn't know. But, I mean, I don't know in all the years I've coached here at Pacific that I've seen anything approaching that. I'm totally amazed. And I guess that's why she's my softball hero. Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a round of applause for our 2014 Pacific softball seniors. And I'd like to recognize the George Fox team. Very classy for you to be out here and to stand on the line and recognize our seniors as well. Thank you very much. At this time, could I have the Pacific softball team come here around home plate and the coaching staff, specifically Tim and Paul, please come out. Ladies and gentlemen, before we end the ceremonies and prepare for the second game, Pacific University and the entire softball program, I want to recognize the contributions of head coach Tim Hill and assistant coach Paul Saba.
Hey, hey, hey.
Tim and Paul announced their retirements from coaching at the end of March, and they'll end a 4-decade career coaching softball at various levels around the Portland area. They have both spent the last 12 years leading the Pacific softball program and they brought the program back to its position as one of the top small college softball programs in the West. In his 12 years leading Pacific softball, Tim has led the Boxers to 8 seasons with 20 or more victories, this one included, and has compiled 258 wins. Combined with his 2 years starting at George Fox, where he began his collegiate coaching career, Tim has amassed 284 wins as a college softball coach. An accomplished coach outside of the college ranks, both of them, Tim and Paul spent 25 seasons coaching the highly regarded Sun Supply Club program and led the team to the 2002 ASA Under-16 National Championship. Both Tim and Paul were inducted into the Oregon chapter of the ASA Softball Hall of Fame for their work with the Sun Supply program. Tim and Paul, you're joined here today by many former players who have been greatly influenced and impacted by your driven and compassionate coaching style, as well as many friends here to wish you well. Tim and Paul, you're going to be missed by everyone here at Pacific. Thank you for all the great contributions that you've made to the sport of softball, that you've made to the Pacific softball program, and on the hundreds of young women whose lives you've touched. We got one more game to play. It's coming up soon.
Yeah, very nice. Very nicely.
Right here. Jesus! There's a pool right here.